the more you research Flare, the more you find out that what Flare is doing for the entire crypto ecosystem is something that has never done before. They are tackling problems that was there for a long time, and Flare stood up and actually is here to solve this problem. And Ripple was at a distance looking what Flare is doing. And I will tell you everything about this, about the connections between Ripple and Flare. What is going on, everybody? It's King Karan with another Flare content for you guys. And before I'm going to tell you guys all about that, I want to thank each and every one of you for praying last night when my father went to the hospital because of a severe lung problem. And that's obviously because he got really sick and the sickness just really came into his lungs, made sure that his brain didn't really got a lot of oxygen. So that also made sure that he was just like doing random things that was not normal. So we had to bring him to the hospital. So everybody, thank you so much for the prayings. And this shows again, guys, this whole crypto space is just like family, man. And I just felt so overwhelmed. I didn't even know what to say, man. I was just so overwhelmed, and I'm just so blessed that I have you guys. So I want to thank each and every one of you for that. But let's continue and talk about the connection between Ripple and Flare. And first, let me show you this picture right here. So this person, he is the adversary counsel of Vivo Power. And let me read this small thing for you guys. Adam Trademan is a Silicon Valley serial entrepreneur with a proven track record of multiple successful exits and over 300 million raised across various technology ventures. He was the founder and CEO of BRD, a pioneering crypto wallet company acquired by Coinbase. He also served as CEO of SBI Mining Chip and SBI Ripple Asia. This guy's not a joke, all right? You already know it. He's not a joke. And let me show you this clip, what he was saying.
When it comes to Flare, Flare is our first partner on the DeFi yield generation piece. Ripple's an investor in Flare. We've known the Flare team for a very long time. I have through my prior work in crypto. There's a lot of trust there. Ripple really highly recommends them as well. So they're going to be our first partner where we're entrusting XRP onto their network in order to generate yield.
So hold on. Ripple is out there promoting Flare, telling to their friends, to their financial institutions that, hey guys, we have Flare over here and you can earn yield with your XRPs. And Vivo Power is holding hundreds of millions of XRPs, guys. And this man, he was part of the adversary council. He is just saying it just like that, out of the horse's mouth. He is literally saying that Ripple is out there going to financial institutions, telling them that they have an opportunity to earn yield. And obviously, they're waiting for Firelight because Firelight is institutional focused. Once that phase two is coming out in April, it's about to get crazy, guys, because it's just one institution that we know. And even Hugo was saying that he also have more people in contact, more financial institutions, but he cannot mention them yet. And we have only one that we know of, and that is Vivo Power, who's holding hundreds of millions of XRP. Ripple is going to more financial institutions. They already told them all. But now the question is, when Firelight Phase 2 goes live in April, and you can trade those points into assets, into tradable assets. Once that goes live, I mean, we all know that Firelight is focusing on institutions. This shows that Ripple is trusting Flare for this. Why would Ripple go to financial institutions and tell them, hey guys, there is a Flare network over there, and if you want to earn yield on your XRPs, you guys have hundreds of millions of XRPs. I mean, you guys have loads of them. You can just earn yield. So Guys, just wait a little bit. It will go live, especially the second phase, and then you guys can just earn yield on top of that. Ripple is out there promoting Flare. That shows the credibility of Flare is massive because Ripple will never promote a random project. They will never do that. But yet, Ripple is out there telling financial institutions, which is crazy. And don't get me started with Firelight, because Firelight has been created by Centora, and Centora has investors. And who is investing in Centora? Well, guys, let me show you over here. It's Flare, obviously, but also Ripple. They are deep into this. They are deep into DeFi. Well, they are doing other things, right, with the banks and all of that. They're also doing some stuff here on DeFi because they know that DeFi is about to get massive. They know once DeFi is set up right, just like what Flare is doing, decentralized, permissionless, waterproof, then Ripple will start to promote and talk about it and invest into it. And that is why they have invested into Centaura. And Centaura is the one that created Firelight. And if you still think that Ripple had nothing to do with Flare, let me show you this article here from 2019. Flare Networks announces strategic investment from Ripple's X Spring. And this should actually tell you enough that they were there since the early days of Flare. I remember when Flare released its white paper back in 2020, right? And that was a time everybody knew about Flare. Okay, what is Flare going to do? Everybody in the XRP community was very hyped. And Ripple was investing into Flare a year before that already. Shows enough, guys. This already shows you enough. And as you can see over here, you have a picture of Hugo Filion, the founder of Flare, and the creator of XRP, David Schwartz. And they had a conversation back and forth, and especially in the beginning, because Hugo wanted to know which problems there were. And he went to an XRP event before, I think, in the early stages of Flare. I would not say before Flare, but he probably had this idea in his mind. But David Schwartz was saying certain things about solving problems on blockchain, and Hugo Filion picked that up. And now, as of today, Flare is solving that problem. And that shows that Hugo had multiple conversations with David Schwartz. And I'm also going to show you some videos of David Schwartz. But let's start first with the video from Apex.
That scaled up to huge amounts of money before they had the technical wherewithal to be able to handle those amounts. I think it's responsible what Flare did, where they built Songbird, and Songbird is handling real money, but it's not sort of their live network. It's like an experimental and test network where you can sort of fail more gracefully. But if it succeeds, then Flare will launch with much more confidence.
David Schwartz is actually complimenting Flare for having a platform to launch their protocols first, and then they are launching it on Flare, because if you have some bugs and some problems, you can fix it over here on Songbird and you can move it over to Flare as there are no bugs anymore. So because of this, protocols can be launched with minimal problems, and that's why David was complimenting Flare, because what Flare is doing is actually making sure that there are minimal bugs, there are minimal problems before you launch a product. Because once they launch a product on Flare just like that, there are going to be some issues. But to make that like almost go to zero if it comes to the bugs and all of the problems, they are just putting it on Songbird first, just like they did with F assets and some other protocols. And they're going to test on that. They're going to solve the bugs. And then before that is ready, they're going to move it over to Flare, which is the best way actually if you're going to release new protocols. And here is another video of David Schwartz complimenting the Flare team and also explaining what Flare is actually all about.
what Flare is doing is they're taking bits and pieces from many different blockchains, like Avalanche's consensus algorithm, and they're taking some of the payment and account ideas from XRP, and they're looking at some of the DeFi from Ethereum. They're trying to stitch that together. And what it's going to come down to is their judgment, whether they build a Frankenstein's monster or something that solves real problems. And I think one of the big advantages that they have is that they have an idea of what the use cases they're going to be targeting are. And they're like present day DeFi use cases that have kind of proven themselves. So if they can build a system that's really useful for that, I think that's important. So these are use cases, unlike NFTs. Like with NFTs, people don't seem to care that much that they're decentralized or censorship resistant. Like if you look at the big projects, nobody even knows or cares what blockchain they're built on. Like, right? All we care about is that we get a great user experience. But in the DeFi space, where you're talking about manipulating money, it's completely different. Like the infrastructure matters and the fees matter. Like if you build a project on Ethereum, it's not just a matter of like, oh, people have to pay these high fees, but the fees are unpredictable. Like if I'm reliant on being able to submit a transaction to your project 3 months from now, I have no idea like how much that's going to cost.
Right.
And so they're very focused on those real world problems. I'm hopeful that they'll be able to build something that like provides great solutions. They're really smart. They've taken on a pretty broad challenge, but I mean, they're a fantastic team.
Let me show you another video of David Schwartz openly admitting that they are investing in Flare.
Yeah, so I'm at the Flare team, formerly under the Ripple Spring effort, which was like a venture capital kind of arm at the time. Mm-hmm. We invested in them a few years ago. I'm very impressed with what they're doing. Flare has built a network using different pieces that they took from different blockchains, Ethereum smart contracts, Avalanche consensus, and XRP settlement. And what they're bringing to the XRP world is essentially a DeFi solution. So they have a fast and reliable settlement mechanism, XRP, and they have ways to essentially bring Ethereum-style smart contracts to the XRP world. They've gotten a lot of exchanges to support their airdrop, which I think is really impressive. That's a very difficult thing to do, and that's going to make it easier for people to just for their token to be sort of distributed widely.
So yeah, guys, I mean, everything that I showed you already should tell you enough. But I'm not here to convince you to say like, yeah, but look at David Schwartz and look at that connection and look at this and that, because they know. Ripple already knows. I'm just showing you the little pieces that they were mentioning and the little evidence here and there to show you that Ripple knows that DeFi is going to be absolutely massive. And they have been positioning themselves since 2019. And you are now seeing Flare finally getting the ball rolling right now with FXRP. And once the second phase of Firelight is going live, you're going to see financial institutions jumping in that Ripple was shilling to. Ripple was shilling Flare to financial institutions. We already have a council adversary from Vivo Power already mentioning it, right? So that shows enough that what Flare is doing, it's giving more value to XRP. It's actually making sure that it's DeFi ready. And it's also very bullish for Flare holders, because the more exposure there is on Flare network, the more exposure there is on the Flare token. And just like how Flare is playing a big role for FTSOs, right? You're delegating your Flare, and that will turn into voting power for all these validators that are checking data and checking transactions. There will be more utility coming for Flare in the next couple of weeks, in the first quarter of 2026. And that is why I like Flare so much, because Flare is not just talking about the token. You know, you have a lot of projects out there just shilling the price of that token, shilling the token itself, but they don't have anything. They don't have any tech. They're not solving any problems. While Flare is hyper focused on solving problems, and eventually all of that benefits will go into the Flare token. You know, just like Ripple, everybody's like, yeah, but what is up with XRP then? You know, like Ripple is doing here and there. What's up with XRP? Well, what happened, right? Last year, we went from 50 cents all the way to $3.50. And if we even go even back in time, in my time where I could purchase XRP for 15 cents, everybody was still asking, hey, Ripple is having partnerships. But what about the price? Same thing now. Flare is building, but what about the price? It's the same pattern. But this should tell you enough, guys, that Ripple and Flare are focusing to solve a massive problem, and the price will eventually follow. I hope that you guys enjoyed this content. Make sure to like, subscribe, and don't forget to put something down below. Let me know what you think about this video, and I'll see you guys next time.